This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Hello, my name's Tambuatco. Welcome to our program. Before we start, the topic actually for this program is about the ethics over EJK, that's extrajudicial killing, which is really a hot topic today. Of course, you have the death penalty and more. But before we get to that, and before I introduce to you our guest, let's talk about the concept of ethics. What exactly is it? It is a study, it is a discipline, I'm told, and actually a science. It's the science or the discipline and the study of man and how man interacts with laws, the natural law, and with each other. But how do we rationalize that if over in the last 10 centuries, 20 centuries, politics and religion have come into the fore? Meaning there's been conflict, there's been crisis, and whoever leads over centuries does one lead and dictate the ethics of one period over another. Can we talk about the ethics of the 15th, 14th century versus today in the 21st century? Can we actually identify, or is it evolving like man? Because as said, the only thing that remains the same is change. And if that being the case, do ethics change over period? How can we identify the Romans, for example, and what they used to do, as well as the church, versus today? We even have conflict with the church and politics today, whether it be here in Europe or anywhere else. So how do we go about this, and how do we understand, how do we generate critical thought so you and I will understand what one says to be true? The problem is perception is truth to many, when in reality it is based on what information you get. You've got fake news, you've got real news, if we even know the difference, and coming from all the different platforms. Points of views of someone who is an artist versus someone who is a scientist. Hindi naman pwede magtungga o magsama-sama yung dalawa because the norms, the platforms are totally different. Ang tawag nga dyan, apples and oranges. So how do we come to what we call truth to help us understand the issues, the relevant issues, so that we can appreciate these issues and we can come to proper decisions? With us, we have Father Jerry Manlangit, who was also a host here in GNN on Medical Dilemma for over a year. And because ethics also go into medicine, the practice of medicine, and even pharmaceuticals. Now, he is also a professor. He teaches at the UST, and he was also the parish parishioner of the very famous or very loved church in the north, Manawag. Father, thank you for being on the show. At least, libre ka ngayon. You can come to the show. Ang daming issues. Maybe we should tackle first the concept of ethics so that our viewers will understand. Because, like we were discussing before the show, how do we rationalize, for example, the ethics in the 14th, 15th century versus today? Diba? How do we identify, pareho ba? Or has it involved like human beings?
Practically, the fundamentals are the same, but the manifestations evolve. That's the reason why there are many ways of understanding ethics.
But when you say ethics, it's the study of man, the understanding of the community around him, the rules, the regulations, correct?
Right.
Now, pero nag-iiba yan over time eh.
Right, but still the standards are usually practically the same. For example, in ethics, we have such thing as the norm, which is natural law. Now, natural law
Does not change over time?
does not change over time. It does not. For example, the fundamental principles of human behavior. Example, do good, avoid evil. That's
That
very
will always
natu-
remain the same?
That will always remain the same. But
Okay.
sometimes the manifestation evolve, and there are various understanding of what is good
Yun na
or
nga.
what is bad.
Okay. Now, maybe you
Okay.
can help rationalize
Right.
that. Kim Jong-un today,
Right.
he in his mind believes he's doing good
Right.
when the rest of the world is otherwise. The same with Iran and other rogue nations that we call rogue.
His norm is himself
Hindi natural law.
in the natural law.
But who is to say he is himself a norm, and who is to say this is right and that is wrong?
Precisely because whenever we talk about ethics, we talk about sense of right and wrong. Okay. What is he doing that makes it right, and what is he doing that makes it wrong? For example, having nuclear armaments. What is it for?
Death.
Death. There
The
comes-
ultimate, but actually
yeah.
it's to control one power over another.
Well, probably yes.
It ended the war in World War II.
That's right. However,
Death.
what is really for the common good of the world, of the society? What is really good for civilization? What is really good for humanity?
Well, there's that argument, civilization due to overpopulation. It is best to nuke some countries to reduce the population so there's enough food for everybody to live instead of everybody overpopulating and everybody dying at the same time.
Even with that one, there's
ethics there.
There is ethics there. Because there is no such moment in this world or in history that food was lacking. Nothing. Only during war. When food is lacking, because the distribution and supply of food is
correct.
very difficult. But now where can you find in history that food was lacking? None.
Africa. CNN is always publishing that. Africa.
There is always food for that. But the supply and distribution is very difficult. And that's the reason why we don't have food. They don't have food. There is always food.
So it depends. Ang problema, hindi kaya argument. For example, I'll make it very specific. You're a priest, you're a man of the cloth. You are a Catholic priest, and you're devout Catholic. I know you. Kaya lang, how can you be an ethicist if you're not biased somewhat by the church?
The bias comes about when people would stand by their own subjective thought without basing it from something which is objective.
Malalim ata yan.
yeah.
Subjective to objective.
For example, the objective norm is the natural law,
All right.
okay, which is the law that governs human behavior.
Do good, not evil.
Do good, not
Don't
evil.
kill.
Never slap somebody. Is that good or evil if you slap somebody?
It's evil.
Okay. Honor your father and your mother. Is that good
Basic
or evil?
good, basic
good, fundamental. That's natural law. It's about relationship between parents and children. Okay? Respect your fellow man, no matter how different he is.
So the
That's
Arabs are
natural
bad
law.
people. They have no natural law. They disrespect women. They make them cover up
And
to
that
the
is where
point.
precisely they are being criticized because they do not respect
Women.
equality
There is no equality.
or equality.
Correct.
And equality of humans are always there in natural law. All of us have such dignity which
So-
are equal in all.
So a Muslim, walang ethics.
Not really. They do have ethics, but the fact is that there are cases in their practices that do not conform to natural law, as in the case, for example, the recognition of equality of women. Women there are second-class citizens.
I would even call them fourth class. Hindi pwede magmaneho sa
Di
Saudi
pwede
Arabia.
magmaneho, di pwede
Grabe.
mag-lipstick
Walang
or
rights.
whatever.
And to think they came from their mothers. Di
That's
ba?
right.
They're really bastos. Now, no, that being the case, is there such a thing as a Muslim ethicist? Meron kaya?
There are, but based on
Their
Sharia law.
So
That's their ethics.
iba na naman.
Iba na naman.
Sharia.
Ours is a natural law But we have even a higher ethics, which is Christian ethics. Which is the ethics of Christ. Even higher than natural law.
Okay, since we have identified where you come from, there is no bias when it comes to the study in the discipline on ethics. Let's go to the issues at hand, the current events that are now in the newspapers all over the world actually, and topping the news, especially with our president. EJK, whether it exists or not, extrajudicial killing. Your take on it?
Okay, extrajudicial killing. First of all, we believe in the inviolability of human life. Human life must always be treated as ends, never as means. Okay? And that every human person deserves always a day in court, and therefore, any violation against human being by killing them is certainly a violation of the dignity that he has. Even if the person is too evil or wicked, he still has a right to due process.
But what if due process is absent, if not left wanting? For example, the courts in the Philippines that only take 50 years to resolve anything. Number one. Number two, and the person who is who's the druggie or whatever, the bad guy, so to speak, inflicts pain and violence towards his own family because of his drug use, persistent drug use. What if he hurts and robs other people? Is it not a discipline to turn around and say, you need to stop that and let's eliminate you and put you down?
We can stop them, but not eliminating them because of the fact that there are also systems in the society in which they can be detained and therefore cannot anymore inflict other harms to other human beings, for that matter. So we have, for example, prisons. Can stay there. See to it that the system in prison are good enough so that he doesn't get away.
But we already know the system in prison here is inadequate, left wanting, if anything. Actually, condemning someone to prison is, you're better dead than having condemned them with our prisons. I mean, to begin with, it's inhuman. The conditions are totally inhuman.
Right, but at least he's still alive. Still alive.
Life is so precious that we do not, that we should just, we should not look for a solution. In other words, bear the conflict, bear the problem because the prisons, bear the problem because we have the prisons regardless of them being inadequate?
Prisons are very inadequate here in the Philippines.
Oo, kaya mas mabuti pa tuloyin mo na.
And even, for example, in the States, they're not always sufficient. They're also inadequate. So in other words, there is inadequacy, but at least we respect life, and that life is so precious that you can never do shortcuts. No shortcuts. Because a person still deserves to be treated with respect, even if he has become a felon, a criminal, or wicked for that matter.
The President says very clearly, and most people regard it as truth, that should he have not controlled it, we would have become a narco state at the rate Noynoy Aquino was running the country. In fact, we were well on our way to becoming that narco state. If we did not control it and do what we did, I'm not saying there was EJK because that was brought up by one person, Maria Ressa, and the Rappler, which was all crap news, fake news. No, because the information was incorrect. Out of 7,000 that we were supposed to have killed, or the police, actually less than 2,000. The others are petty crime and all kinds of other crime. So lumala. But correct, EJK, how do we resolve, how do we look at it? So you're saying your take is wrong, it's murder, either way you look at it.
In either way you look at it, it's murder. Why? Because of the fact that if somebody commits something wrong,
outside the court,
outside the court,
extrajudicial nga.
But we are supposed to be a society governed by the rule of law.
Correct.
If you remove the rule of law, then our streets will become a mess and it will be chaotic.
Do you believe we have EJK in this country?
Yes.
Or you agree with Rappler and Maria Ressa that the police are going around shooting people and they were killing, murdering people in the street?
Not everything.
Because they were poor?
Not
Yan ang
everything.
pinalalabas ng mga dyaryo eh.
Not everything. But most of those who have been killed were poor.
That's
Who
what...
among those who have been killed are really above the society? A common man. Tell me who they are. No. It's always the
No,
poor.
well, we got that mayor that they shot in prison, Espinosa or something.
Well, it was
That's definitely EJK. It's a law,
yeah,
yeah,
that's right. It was more of a exception than the common thing that we do, that we see.
And the others that were shot supposedly on the street, mukhang poor nga, but the problem with drugs is, I remember 40 years ago, when I was much younger, the drugs were used by the middle class to the upper class. Hindi nagda-drugs gaano yung lower class eh.
Yeah.
Ngayon baliktad, shabu is a dirty drug.
Right.
In fact, anyone that says, parang nagsashabu
Shabu is a
ako."
poor man's drug.
Poor man's drug. And
Right.
tingin nga dyan, kawawa ka naman, nagsashabu ka. I mean, you know, it's sad.
It goes back to what kind of society that we have. If only people have employment, if only people are educated.
So poverty is the root cause. So it's not EJK.
I would say that.
Poverty ang issue,
Poverty
not
is
EJK.
right. Poverty is one of the causes.
Yes, I remember.
It's not only the cause.
When you're in
It's one
Manawag,
of the
you would
causes.
see that. You would,
Right.
You would see it in the grass,
Right.
down in the province talaga
That's right.
nakikita mo.
You can see it. It's poverty.
Poverty.
When a poor person is willing to hold onto a knife just to be able to eat,
There's something wrong.
there's something
Well,
wrong.
di ba under the law, you can't convict a person who's hungry, who stole bread because he had to eat.
No.
Di ba?
Stealing will still be stealing, but you do not condemn a person
You can't
like that.
condemn him. Gutom eh. Wala kang
Gutom.
magagawa. So, it is government that has been left wanting over the decades.
Government
Not
has always been there.
Yes. Sila ang common eh. But you can't say that the Duterte government and EKJ have one and the same thing, which is what the European Parliament are trying to dictate to us. Di ba? It's not necessary. Ang pulis naman matatakot tingin ko, pupunta na lang mamamaril. Ano?
Yeah, of course.
Di ba?
They can just do that. They have to make it clever enough that they will be able to do things in a way that there will be no witnesses for that matter.
Yeah, which is why
yeah.
the concept. So what you're saying is you're against the concept of any extrajudicial killing outside the law. But you're not saying whether there is and you believe there is, or you believe that there is extrajudicial killing and it's the policemen that are killing the poor. But I don't understand that because the policemen come from the poor. Who wants to be a policeman?
Somebody
I mean,
on the
basically.
top must be saying that. A policeman himself will not do it. Somebody must have commanded them. Somebody must have urged
Bato de
them
la
to do it.
Rosa?
Oh, well,
The general.
we don't
Bato.
want to say any name or for that matter, but somebody on the top. Police would just follow commands because they have their own hierarchy. They cannot just do anything. Even, for example, those vigilantes, who are the ones telling them to do it?
The leaders.
Somebody else. Somebody else.
Okay.
Who they are, we do not know.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be able to find in the future or whatever. Let's see.
All right. Father, we're going to have to take a short break. We'll be right back. When we do get back, we're going to discuss the death penalty. Let's, if we have time, I'd like to bring in the concept of gay marriage, if that's still an issue today, and all the other issues that require certain ethics, the discipline of ethics, how to help us understand what is right and what is wrong. Maybe we should change the topic. Anong tama, anong mali? Yan ang problema. Ang tama sa akin, minsan hindi tama sa iyo eh.
Right.
Ganon din, pabalik-balik eh. So, stay with us. We'll be right back.